The text message didn't look dangerous. It was just a normal Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting at my desk pretending to work, staring at an unfinished email when my phone buzzed. Her name lit up my screen the way it had 100 times before. But this time felt different. I think we need to talk tonight. 6 simple words. No emojis. No hey. No softness. Looking back, though, the ending didn't really begin with that message. It started the day I met her. We met in a bookstore cafe that wasn't even supposed to exist in my life. I had walked in to escape the rain and kill an hour before meeting a client. I didn't read much. I just like quiet places where nobody expected anything from me. She was standing on a small wooden ladder in the poetry section, arguing softly with a book. "I swear this was here yesterday," she muttered. I should have ignored it. I didn't. I stepped closer and said, "Maybe the book ran away." She looked down at me, half amused, half suspicious. She was 25, though I didn't know that yet. Her hair was tied in a loose bun that looked accidental, but probably wasn't. She had this calm face, like someone who thinks before speaking. "Books don't run away," she said. "People just misplace them. Same thing sometimes." She smiled at that. Not a big one, just enough to make me feel like I'd earned something. I helped her look for the book. We didn't find it. Instead, we found ourselves sitting across from each other 15 minutes later, sharing a small table by the window. I was 27 then. I had a decent job, a rented apartment that echoed too much at night, and a life that looked stable from the outside. But loneliness has a way of sitting quietly beside you. I'd gotten used to eating dinner in silence, to watching shows without reacting out loud, to not being anyone's first call. She asked what I did for work. "Marketing," I said, which sounds cooler than it is. She laughed. "I work at a community center. Kids mostly. Art classes." "That sounds meaningful." "It's messy," she said. "But yeah, I like messy." There was something grounding about her. She wasn't trying to impress me. She didn't ask about my salary. She didn't perform interest. She just listened. When the rain stopped, neither of us stood up immediately. She checked her phone and frowned slightly. "I should go." "Yeah," I said, though I didn't want to. There was this pause. That tiny moment where either everything ends or something begins. "So," I said carefully, "if that book shows up again, you could text me about it." She raised an eyebrow. "You want updates on a missing poetry book?" "I'm invested now." She hesitated for just a second before typing her number into my phone. That night, I stared at our first conversation longer than I'd like to admit. Her first text came an hour later. "Found it. It was in fiction," which feels wrong. I smiled at my screen in a dark room. Curiosity can be dangerous. Not because it's intense, but because it's quiet. And I didn't know it yet, but that quiet curiosity was the beginning of a romantic breakup story I would one day tell like this. Late at night, trying to make sense of relationship timing and how love can be real even when it doesn't last. Our first official date was at a night market downtown. Bonding scene 1. She dragged me to a food stall that sold spicy noodles way too hot for me. "You're sweating," she laughed. "It's part of the experience." She wiped sauce off my chin with a napkin, casually like it was nothing. That small gesture stayed with me longer than the taste of the food. Bonding scene 2. A week later, we built terrible IKEA shelves in my apartment. We argued over instructions, but softly, playfully. "You're holding it upside down." "No, I'm not." "You are." We both paused. Then she flipped it gently and said, "See." I liked that she didn't make me feel stupid. She just corrected things with patience. Bonding scene 3. One Sunday morning, she fell asleep on my couch while a movie played in the background. Her head rested on my shoulder. I didn't move for almost an hour because I didn't want to wake her. That was the moment comfort started to replace attraction. One night, lying in bed, she traced circles on my chest and said quietly, "Can I tell you something?" "Yeah." "I'm scared of wasting time. Like, I don't want to wake up at 35 and feel like I stayed somewhere too long." I swallowed. "I get that," I said. "I'm scared of not building something solid." She nodded, thoughtful. "You like stability. And you?" "I like movement." It wasn't a fight, just a difference. A small hint of future tension hiding in plain sight. Weeks turned into routine. Good morning texts. Thursday takeout. Saturday grocery runs. Folding laundry together. We weren't dramatic. We were steady. It felt like a realistic love story. Not fireworks, but warmth. And somewhere between shared toothbrush space and inside jokes, I stopped feeling alone. That's the thing about an emotional love story. It doesn't announce itself. It builds slowly through habits. But habits can hide cracks. The first real crack came during a conversation about the future. We were sitting on my balcony, watching cars pass below. "My friend is moving to Berlin," she said casually. She just decided and went. Just like that. I asked. "Yeah." She didn't want to wait for the perfect time. I nodded, but something tightened in my chest. "Would you ever do that?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. "Maybe." I laughed lightly. "You'd leave everything." "Not everything," she said. "Just what doesn't grow." I knew she didn't mean me, but I heard anyway. That night, I overthought everything. Was I too settled? Too safe? Was she going to outgrow this apartment, this city me? We didn't fight. We just started pausing more. Silences grew heavier. Not angry, just thoughtful. I found myself checking her tone in texts. She found herself staring out windows more often. We still held hands, still kissed goodbye, but something subtle had shifted, like furniture moved slightly out of place. Growing apart doesn't start loudly. It starts with questions you don't ask out loud. The job offer came on a Thursday. She walked into my apartment, holding her phone too tightly. "I got it," she said. I smiled automatically. "That's amazing. It's in another city." There it was. How far? 3 hours. Not across the world. Not impossible, but far enough to change everything. We sat at the kitchen table. "I'd only go for a year," she said. "It's a program I've always wanted." "I know," I replied. "You could visit." "Yeah." Neither of us sounded convinced. She reached for my hand, but hesitated halfway. "I noticed that." "This doesn't mean—" she started. "I know," I said again, though I didn't. We both understood something without saying it. Relationship timing isn't just about love. It's about alignment. And ours was slowly drifting. We sat there in silence, hands almost touching, neither pulling away. Quiet pause. She moved a month later. At first, we tried. Long calls. Weekend visits. Then shorter texts. "Busy day. Talk later. Miss you." Missed calls became normal. One Saturday, I visited her. We walked through her new neighborhood, pretending nothing had changed. We held hands, laughed at a street performer. For a moment, it felt almost normal. Then she checked her watch. "I have an early morning tomorrow." I nodded. "Yeah, of course." That almost normal hurt more than arguments ever could. That night, back in my apartment, I typed, "Are we slowly ending?" I stared at it, then deleted it. Unsent message. We chose a park bench halfway between our cities. Neutral ground. She looked tired. I probably did too. We sat side by side, not touching. "I don't want to drag this," she said softly. "Me neither." Long pause. "I love you," she added. "I know. And that's the problem," she whispered. It wasn't dramatic. It was honest. "I don't feel like we're walking toward the same future right now," she said. I nodded. "I feel that too." We weren't angry, just aware. "This is right person, wrong time," she said, almost smiling through tears. "Yeah. I don't want to resent you later. I don't want you to give up things for me." More silence. Letting go with love is heavier than holding on. "So this is it?" I asked. She inhaled slowly. "I think so." We stood up awkwardly. No big goodbye. Just a long hug that felt like memorizing. When she pulled away, she said, "Thank you for loving me the way you did." I swallowed. "Thank you for teaching me how." She walked away, and I didn't call her back. Months passed. I rearranged my apartment. Started cooking more. Took a solo trip. Went back to therapy. The loneliness came back, but differently. It wasn't empty anymore. It was reflective. I realized something about mature breakup pain. It doesn't come from betrayal. It comes from acceptance. We were a realistic love story. Not tragic. Not toxic. Just mistimed. I stopped blaming myself. Stopped blaming her. Sometimes growing apart isn't failure. It's evolution. We didn't block each other. We didn't disappear dramatically. We simply let go with love. Now, when I think about her, I don't feel anger. I feel gratitude. Because she showed me that love can be healthy and still not last. That relationship timing matters as much as chemistry. That the right person, wrong time isn't a cliche. It's a quiet truth. And if I ever see her again, I hope it's with peace. Because some people aren't meant to stay forever. They're meant to teach you how to love and how to let go. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away before love turns into regret.